Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Come in, come in, come in. Y'all, today's show is wild. Today's show is definitely giving ghetto. Definitely, definitely giving culpability. Um what else? What else? What else is it giving? Also, can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. How's the volume sound? Yes, you can hear me? Oh, all right, you guys, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. Smash that like button, you guys. So today we are getting into the trial of R. Kelly. Um, man, um, sorry, I didn't look at myself before I turned this camera on, so you're gonna just have to take me as I am. Hello and welcome into the Nosy Bystanders Live. I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander. Also, I got a mic so you guys can hear me, so you guys can quit complaining about my sound. Um, I am your host, Chief Nosy Bystander, who can't even see the screen right now. But today we're going to be talking about. Um, thank you, Rochelle. So sweet. So sweet. So today we're going to be talking about R. Kelly and his trial. Currently, R. Kelly is on trial, I think in the state of New York or the state of Illinois. I can't remember. Shout out to Chicago. What a letdown you've done to us. Shout out for birthing this beast. But he is on trial, and I can't remember what state he's in. But shout out to Neve. I'm sorry, Never More, Never Monet. Is it Nevermore or Never Monet? Are one of our nosy bystanders who tagged me into this post on Twitter. So I'm like, huh, what is this? As soon as I started reading it out, I was taken aback. And so shout out to Nevermore or Never Monet. It's Mone, Monet. Shout out to you. I appreciate that so much. So this R. Kelly trial is in day 4. Now, mind you, I had no idea it was even. I thought he was done, right? He got 30 years in one case. And so I'm just like, oh, I guess he's done. Apparently not. Apparently the United States government is not done with Mr. Robert Kelly. And so a court reporter by the name of DJ Barnes, actually is in the courtroom reporting on the testimony live, and he was doing report thread, and we always see that. So that's not anything unusual. So don't think it's like an invasion of privacy. They do get to do that, and so it's the safest way for the media, since it's not videographed or it's not on video recording. It's the safest way for the media to be able to get access to the court and to allow them to be able to tell us what's going on firsthand. So I want to get into the first things. I want to jump right into it. I don't want to spend any more time yip yapping, because that's the thing I hate the most about when other people do coverage on stories. Stop talking. Show us the receipts, honey. So let's get into the first. So this is the beginning of this thread. And again, shout out to Dave Barnes, or DJ Barnes 1 on Twitter. And I encourage you to go follow him and turn your notifications on, because he currently is in the courtroom, not this moment, but every single day. And he's going to be the one who's going to be reporting on this story for us. So I'm going to just start off at the top of this thread, and you guys just follow along. And if you can't see it, don't worry, I'm going to read it. So Mr. Barnes starts off this thread and says, Day 4 of the federal R.Kelly trial beginning in Chicago. So it is in Chicago. Day starts off with presiding judge Harry, I think it's pronounced Leon Weber, ordering the court's sketch artists to anonymize Kelly's alleged victims in their sketches, specifically to obliterate their faces and hairstyles. And this is for anonymity and privacy for the victims, so that even though it's not video, because there's no video allowed into the courtroom, it's also so when those sketches do get released, people can't just start putting 2 and 2 together. Mr. Barnes continues and says, a retired detective who allegedly saw one of R. Kelly's sex tapes is currently in cross-examination. R. Kelly's defense points out he saw a VHS tape some 20 years ago, but was shown a disc, right, a CD, yesterday. The detective said he can't be sure the disc and the VHS are exactly the same. That's interesting, right? Like that's an interesting take on that. He's not entirely sure if he's looking at the same thing. Now, granted, this detective saw this 20 years ago, and then they show it to him again yesterday. So imagine watching someone shows you a snippet of something 20 years ago, not even a full video, just a snippet of something, right? You know how technology was 20 years ago. And then all of a sudden they show it to you again 20 years later, and you're like, is this the same thing? You're probably like, I have no idea. I have no idea. No clue. No clue if this is the same thing. I have no idea. So the detective, being honest, says, I don't know if I'm looking at the same footage. So we got to give it to at least the detective being honest. Let me hear from you guys, because child, it gets deeper than this. Okay, we just started. We just started. This is from our Virgil. Say, hey, bystanders. Hello, everybody in the building. Welcome to the building. So if you just joined us, we are discussing day 4 of R. Kelly's trial, and this is the first of the thread. This story is brought to you by Never Monet, or Never. I think it's Never Monet. It's spelled Nevamone. There she is, Never Monet, right there in the comment sections. Make sure you follow her on Twitter with the same handle. And she brought us this story, and the story is being reported on by Dave Barnes, a reporter out of Chicago. He's actually live in the courtroom, and he is giving us this testimony firsthand. So we know that he's pretty accurate. Okay. He also works for Courthouse News. So follow him and Courthouse News on Twitter. Make sure your notifications are turned on, because when he gets in the courtroom, he just does a full, sometimes 100 tweet thread of the full testimonies of that day. Hello, Lucky Lady. Hello, R. Virgil. Hello, YNV. YNV says they should have stored the original VHS and rolled in a VHS player. I couldn't agree more. Now, understandably, a VHS from 20 years ago that's not properly stored could denigrate from being in, evidence and collection, get dusty, stop playing. So it does make sense that they had it transcribed onto a CD. But nonetheless, I agree they should have played the original VHS. Now, mind you, I've never seen the R. Kelly tapes. I've never seen them. Thank God, because it's child P word. Okay, please don't say it in the comment section, because YouTube will literally ban you. My hands will be clean of that. So yes, thank you very much, Jump Yo Mama. I know your name is not Jump Yo Mama. Thank you very much, Jump Yo Mama. Hello, Brenda. How you doing? Hello, Stephanie. How you doing? So, if you've seen the R. Kelly tapes, please do not admit to that in public. Because again, that is child P word, okay? That you were watching and somehow you got away with. So if you've ever seen it, just lie like your life depends, lie like your life depends on it, honey. You definitely don't want the feds knowing you watched that. Okay, so let's get into part two. So for if you just joined us, quickly read this tweet. It is the beginning of the tweet, and I'll summarize it if you don't want to read it. But Dave Barnes said this is day 4 of testimony. They have cross-examined the original detective on the case. The original detective stated he saw the R. Kelly tape 20 years ago, and prosecutors showed him the remastered version of it 20 years later. And now the detective is stating that he doesn't know if the two videos he saw are the same. Okay? So that's part 1 of the thread, y'all. There's a lot, so buckle up, okay? So Mr. Barnes continues and he says, I'm going to zoom this in for myself so I can read it. Mr. Barnes says, Kelly's lead defense attorney, Jennifer Bogine, asked the retired Chicago PD detective about a report he made in 2000 regarding a DCFS complaint he allegedly received regarding the parents of Kelly's alleged victim, Jane. Let me make sure I'm reading that correctly. So give me one moment. Hold on one second. Because it's so tiny. I have to pull up my phone, you guys. I'm sorry. It's just really, really, really tiny. Yes. So I'm going to read the next part. The DCFS complaint lodged against Susan and Brandon, these are just pseudonyms, okay, complained that they were allowing their daughter Jane to sleep with a 33-year-old man, Bogine said. The detective tells Bogine, the detective who's testifying, tells Bogine that after interviewing all of them, he concluded the allegations were unfounded. So I'm going to read just these 2 snippets for you again so we can make sure we're caught up to speed. So the detective from R. Kelly's original claim 20 years ago is being cross-examined by the prosecutors as well as R. Kelly's attorney, Bogine, Jennifer Bogine. I'm assuming this sounds very, I don't know, it just sounds really Haitian. Bogine, okay? Bogine says that there was a DCFS case from a Brandon and Susan who alleged that R. Kelly was diddling their child, and the detective closed the case because he said it was unfounded. So she's bringing that old case up. However, and this is the snippet here. However, the detective also tells Bogine that while investigating the DCFS allegations against Jane's parents, he only conducted a single half-hour interview with them. Wow. And further says he never interviewed R. Kelly himself on the matter. So let's just pause right there. You have an individual, you have 2 parents coming to you telling you R. Kelly is diddling our child. You, as the detective, only talk to the parents for a half hour, and then you don't even talk to R. Kelly, and then you close the case. Wild. The stuff's wild. Now, let me get to the tweet down here below. This tweet below here says, Bogine now questioning detective. Remember, Bogine is R. Kelly's attorney. Bogine, R. Kelly's attorney, is now questioning the detective regarding his investigation into Pinky. Okay. Now, all the names are in air quotes because the court has deemed them these nicknames to protect their identity. Another of R. Kelly's alleged victims and a friend of Jane's. Again, Jane is another victim. Pinky, another victim, herself is expected to testify at some point in trial, but this court reporter doesn't know when. He just knows that she is going to testify at some point. Let me get to some of your comments. Hello, smash that like button. I got a microphone, so smash the like button for us, please. And can you guys all hear me? I want to make sure this mic is working. Testing. This is from Pit Stop. Says, listen, that girl told about threesomes and other classmates. He's going to die in prison. Child, I listen. be mindful about your comments because YouTube has blocked that comment. I can read it, but I won't open the comment because I don't want to get banned. Okay, but I totally agree with you, Pit Stop. This is from Deaudra. Hey, Deaudra says, you need to be blocked. Me? I need to be blocked? What would I do, Deaudra? Carol B says, oh, Jason, get your behind out of here. Who is Jason? I don't know. Maybe you guys are y'all tussling in the comment section? Simone says, loud and clear. Thank you, Simone. This is from Jason Fitch says, free R. Kelly. Y'all get out of here. Oh, an R. Kelly stan. Oh, well, we don't care. Just ignore him, you guys, and focus on the story. Let's move on to the next portion of the story, okay? So you guys follow along here. R. Kelly's attorney has cross-examined the detective and asked him why he never took a case against R. Kelly 20 years ago seriously when another family had came forward and said R. Kelly was diddling their kids, and you didn't even interview R. Kelly and you closed the case and said it was unfounded. So wild and crazy. Wild and crazy. Okay, let's get to the next portion of this. Honey chow. Okay. So moving on. Bogene pressed R. Kelly's detective, Daniel Everett. That's the name of the detective. Finally, our friend Mr. Barnes reveals the detective's name, Daniel Everett, on why he did not investigate Pinky anymore thoroughly. You think if she told you she was having sex with an adult as an underage person, you would have opened an investigation? Bogene says. Detective Everett is off the stand. So I guess Detective Everett just never answered the question. Maybe he pled the fifth. He just moved on. Prosecution now calls Matthew Holitzer. I believe the name of the city is called Winnetka, Illinois resident, who says he works self-employed in the technology and finance industry, to the stand. Holtzizer owned a property formerly owned by R. Kelly in Chicago, and I'm not going to name the address. You can see the address here because I can actually get banned for doxing. So you see the address there, and then our court reporter here has showed us an image of what the house looks like that was purchased. So this is the home R. Kelly owned, and Mr. Matthew Holtzizer purchased it from R. Kelly. It's a beautiful home. It says, it's this price, by the way, currently going for a little under $3 million. Holy Toledo. That's beautiful. I wonder why the guy sold it. It's probably the right market, especially in Chicago. I'm not going to knock him for selling it. Let's moving on. So now Mr. Holtzizer is on the stand and the prosecution is questioning him. The question for the prosecution is, did Chicago police come to your home at 1010, you see the address, in 2002 and asked to take photos? Prosecutors asked Holtzizer. Holtzizer says yes. He says, R. Kelly was indicted on multiple child P charges in 2002, some of which allegedly occurred in that home, this home right here below. So some of those claims from 2002 actually occurred in this home seen here below. Prosecution continues to ask Holtzizer about the house on 1010. I wish you would stop posting this man's address. A property formerly owned by R. Kelly in the 90s, which Holtzizer himself owned in 2002, while Kelly was under investigation for child P charges. Holtzizer says he moved into R. Kelly's former Chicago home, and the smoke detectors in the main bedroom were not actually smoke detectors. They were disguised video cameras. I'm going to read that again. Holtzizer says he moved into R. Kelly's former Chicago home. The smoke detectors in the main bedroom were not actually smoke detectors. They were disguised cameras. Child. Okay, y'all picking up what I'm putting down. Is you picking up what I'm putting down? Wow. Every time I read it, it's just crazy. He says the smoke detectors in the main bedroom. And why just the bedroom? Were not actually smoke detectors. They were disguised video cameras. Someone had to help him do that. Now, granted, back in 2002, you could actually go to Radio Shack and purchase them because a lot of the nanny cams back in the day, they still do. A lot of the nanny cams come like that. So it could have been very easy for R. Kelly to set up smoke detectors, but being as busy and high profile as he was, I don't see R. Kelly doing that. But, crazier things have happened. R. Kelly a freak? No, he's up. Okay. You know what I'm about to say. He's the P word. Courtney Johnson says, makes sense. So many women on the docu-series said that he would watch them. So that sounds about right. Correct. He recorded everything. Esther, August, is it August or Augustine said? Yes, Esther. April Bibbin says, it makes my heart hurt that the parents allegedly knew this was going on and did nothing. The poor children, and they profited off of her. I hope she is getting the help she so desperately needs. Same. Nicole Jones said, he's a perv. Yes, Nicole. Courtney Johnson said, he's a sicko. Yes, Courtney. Blaze 106.91 said, smash that like button. Thank you. Hello, Blaze. How are you? Let's just get to this last one down here. And then we're going to move on to the next graphic. This is not going to be a long live, but child is going to be an interesting one. Okay, so Dave, our court reporter, continues with these tweets and he says, Holtsizer further says that after he moved into R. Kelly's former home at 1010, you can see the address there, I'm not going to say it out loud, he never allowed R. Kelly back into the property, which is understandable. He bought it. He shouldn't have to have the old homeowner come back in. He never allowed R. Kelly back into the property. With that, prosecutors wrapped up its questioning and allowed the defense to begin cross-examining Mr. Holtsizer. Understandable. Understandable. Let's get to the next graphic. Defense attorney Jennifer Boheen again comes back to the smoke detectors disguised as cameras. Holtsizer, sorry, y'all. Time out. So, what's the word I'm looking for? I live across from the university and I live directly across from a frat house. And so, for some reason, these frat boys are just standing in front of my house. I was like, what do you want? I feel like they want to knock on my door, but they're not going to. So we'll see. We'll see if we get any interruptions. Okay. So defense attorney Jennifer Boheen again comes back to the smoke detectors disguised as cameras. Holtsizer says he did not confirm whether the video camera was operable or if there were any images stored on it because he disposed of them. So Holtsizer says, I noticed that they were cameras. I didn't even care to even look to see what they were. Not my business, which is totally understandable because at the time he's just buying a home. It's not his business what's on it. But now probably looking back, he's probably like, holy cow, I should have probably kept that and seen what was on there. So let's continue to this. I hate switching hands, but it's this one here. I need to move my graphics on this side or this side so I can point that way. Okay, so I can point this way. So Mr. Barnes continues and says, with that, R. Kelly's defense wraps up its questioning of Holtsizer. Prosecution has no follow-up, so he is dismissed. Court takes a 15-minute break. Phew, right? Because that was a lot before the 15-minute break. Okay. So Mr. Barnes says the next witness to be called to the stand in R. Kelly's federal trial in Chicago will be Jane. Okay? It's Jane. Jane is the infamous child from the 1998 sex tape. The woman who allegedly appears in four. There was four of them. It says the woman who allegedly appears in four of the sex tapes Kelly made in 1998 when he was 31 and Jane was 14. I thought there was just one. Let's continue. It says Jane, the alleged R.Kelly victim at the center of the trial, is now taking the stand. Wow, this court reporter was fantastic. I followed him and I turned my notifications on because I love the way he plays this out. And then to sum up this last tweet here at the bottom, down there, he says, Jane says she was born in 1984 and is currently 37 years old. She was raised in the Chicago suburb of Oak Park. I don't know if you guys know this, though. If you're not from the Chicagoland area, I went to college in Chicago. Whoop-de-whoop. But Oak Park is very rich. Very, very, very rich. I went to college in Chicago. I actually went to college at Elmhurst, which is another affluent city of Chicago. And Oak Park was just 20 minutes up the road. And it was, if you thought Elmhurst was rich, Oak Park was like 10 times as rich. So she came from a very affluent area. Let me read some of your comments. I know, y'all, the comments are going. This is from Nicole Jones says, they found four. There was probably more, and more than likely, yes. I pray he burns. Oh, dedicated Ebony? Yes. Neva Monet says, no, only one was leaked. Got you. So only one was leaked, but there were four. Got you. April Bibb said the authorities did not do their due diligence and investigate, because if they had stopped him in 2012, we wouldn't be here. Granted, we wouldn't have Trapped in the Closet. We wouldn't have Chocolate Factory. We wouldn't even have TP2 2000. Okay. So we wouldn't have all those hits, but who cares about hits when we're talking about the detriment of children? Granted, if he did go to jail in 2002, he'd be out of jail by now. Isn't that crazy? Think about that for a second. Had R. Kelly went to jail in 2002, he'd be out by now. Wild. Because, you know, it's a 20-year sentence. Not that we care. We don't actually care, but it's just wild. Let's get to the next graphic. But before we do, we got an ad, you guys. You know we got to insert our ad. Come on now, let's be realistic. Come on now, y'all. Don't get too greedy with it. I give you the tea, but we have to keep the show afloat. We do, okay? We have to keep the show afloat. And the best way that we can do that is with sponsored ads. At least that's the best way I know how to do it. This ad is actually brought to you by Z&E Boutique. Z&E. I have a little bit of a playback. Z&E Boutique is a clothing brand from the south side of Chicago, Illinois. It's funny enough, we were talking about Kanye West yesterday and how he's from the south side, and now we're talking about R. Kelly and he's from the south side. So we have an ad from the south side of Chicago. Brianna has had a lifelong affair with fashion and design, using her unique eye for fashion to create a little bit better. When you do check out, use your promo code NOSY for an additional 20% off at checkout. And shout out to Brianna at Z&E Boutique for sponsoring this show. We love us some Brianna. Thank you again. Thank you again, Brianna. Get the right graphic up for you. Gotta get the right graphics up. Slide on in, because we talk about R. Kelly. Slide on in, because we talk about R. Kelly. Stop playing with us. Okay? Let's get to this graphic here, okay? So, to continue, Jane, who is the woman, who is the child, okay? So we're going to, for the respect and safety of Jane, we're going to refer to her as a child for this entire court report, because that's how she was discussed in the the court. Okay, so Jane says she was born in 1984 and is currently 37 years old. She was raised in the Chicago suburbs of Oak Park. Jane also says she was in a Christian hip hop group. Her mother and deceased father were musicians, she says. One of the prosecution's claims against R. Kelly is that R. Kelly took advantage of Jane's music career ambitions for sexual favors. Jane describes her time with her hip hop group in the 90s. She said it was an amazing time. We were very successful. I was living my dream. I was very happy. While touring with the group, Jane says she was homeschooled, which is understandable. Jane says she was familiar with R. Kelly, whom she knows through his R&B music, and first met him in 1996 when she was either 12 or 13. Jane says he came to the gospel concert at my church. I was excited. I knew his level of success. I was excited like any other fan was, Jane said. Mm. I was just reading it back. It's just. Mm. Let's continue. Jane says it was her aunt who first introduced her to R. Kelly after the gospel concert. They met backstage and later met again a few months later when Kelly came to a performance put on by Jane's music group. So it was her auntie who introduced them, which we know because according to our good friend right here, Sparkle, this is Jane's aunt. So we already know that. We're not spilling tea, that we just know that's her auntie because Jane or Sparkle stated that in her interview with Lifetime doing the Surviving R. Kelly. She stated that she had introduced her niece to Robert Kelly. Jane says, R. Kelly told me I did not, I'm sorry, R. Kelly told me I did a great job. He gave me pointers on how to handle the stage. It made me feel accomplished that such a successful person was saying I was gifted. Following this meeting with R. Kelly at her music group's Chicago performance, Jane says she started seeing R. Kelly more through her aunt Stephanie. We ain't got no affiliation. Who Jane says at the time had a romantic relationship with R. Kelly. Interesting. So, according to Jane, just to sum it up for anybody who just joined us, according to Jane, she was introduced by R. Kelly by her aunt Sparkle. Seen here, Sparkle did the interview with Lifetime for Surviving R. Kelly, and she stated that they were the reason why they had been introduced. I don't want to say Jane Doe, but Jane stated that she also continued to hang out with R. Kelly because her aunt, I'm assuming Sparkle's sister, maybe at the time, was dating R. Kelly, her aunt Steph. Okay, let's just get into it, okay? Jane says she visited R. Kelly at his Chicago track studio at 865 North, and you can read the rest because, again, I can't say addresses online, hundreds of times in the late 90s. Now, okay, I'm not sure what a 13-year-old is doing hanging out with R. Kelly at a studio hundreds of times, but strange fruit indeed. We're going to continue. Let me get to your comments. See if you guys have anything to say. Hello. Smash that like button, you guys. I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Make sure you can hear me well. Okay. Hundreds. Yes, Quima. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, which is so wild to me. It's so wild to me. Hold on one second. So wild to me. It's wild and it's ghetto to me. Like how exactly are you okay, I don't even want to, I'm not trying to judge. Let me just get the story out. This is from Dizzy Gino says, so you think Sparkle was manipulated by her parents? Sparkle is the music artist. Sparkle to the victim Jane, that is Jane's aunt. So I don't know what your question is about Sparkle. Sparkle's an adult. Sparkle's not a child. Sparkle is a music artist who was working on albums with R. Kelly at the time, and she introduced her niece to R. Kelly. My jaw's on the floor. Risa, me too. You said not wild and get. I know. Let me get back into this story, okay? Hold on. Where are we? I didn't lost my. I didn't lost my. Okay. So Jane says her aunt pushed her to get closer to R. Kelly. She said, I should ask him to be my godfather, that I should rub his head and ask him to take that role in my life. Jane says, Kelly chuckled and said yes. Her parents said, she's, I'm sorry, her parents, she says, also approved. Touch his head. Let me read that back. Let me read that back. Jane says her aunt pushed her to get closer to R. Kelly. Now remember, Jane's aunt was dating R. Kelly, Aunt Steph, not me, no affiliation. But her other aunt was Sparkle. So it's funny how she doesn't mention which aunt. Which aunt told you to get close to him? Your Aunt Steph or your Aunt Sparkle? But I guess that's neither here nor there. Steph said, I'm sorry, she said, I should ask him to be my godfather, that I should rub his head and ask him to take that role in my life. Jane says Kelly chuckled and said yes. Her parents, she says, also approved. Jane says she was 13 when she asked R. Kelly to be her godfather. Following him becoming her godfather, she says her conversation with him changed. It became sexual. He would ask me questions on the phone like what color panties I was wearing. Ugh. Jane says R. Kelly also began asking her about her boobs, because I can't say the other one, developing and other actual issues, and that it was eventually progressed to phone X. Kelly, she said, would tell her over the phone that he was. That's disturbing. Now, this is trigger warning to everyone. Please put trigger warning in the comments because I need people to understand this is a high trigger warning live video. Highly, highly, highly triggering. Spam the comment. Trigger TW, 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 child. Trigger warning. Please enter at your own risk, okay? Smash that like button, hit trigger warning. Yeah, this is a trigger warning because I've never been essayed as a kid, but child, this would trigger me. Okay, this would most certainly trigger me. Let's continue because it does get a little more. Now I want to say trigger warning because it is going to get quite graphic in these next slides. That's why I have not switched them over yet. So please, if you're squeamish about hearing about child SA, please just leave the live and come back, okay? But we have to get the story out because it's very gripping. The story is just. I mean, when I look at how many retweets this man has, I'm like, how are people not retweeting this? It's like the story of the century. This girl's never testified in court, which is crazy. And you have a court reporter in the courtroom tweeting her words. So the fact that this story has not gotten the traction that it needs is wild to me. It's so wild. I'm like, it's wild. We're almost done, you guys, okay? Okay, so let's get on to the next slide. Jane says her relationship with R. Kelly became physical in 1998 when she was 14, while they were both alone on the couch in the Chicago track studio one night. Jane says Kelly began to rub her, you can read that, her parts. Jane said her parents felt comfortable enough with R. Kelly at the time of her first sexual encounter that they didn't mind her spending time alone with him. Talk about a 14-year-old girl. This is from Jane, and he's quoting it. This is the court reporter that I'm reading. So all of this is not alleged, okay? All of this comes directly from the court reporter who sat into the courtroom with Jane Doe, R. Kelly's victim, who had her sex tape leaked in 1998, when she was only 14 years old. Gross. Her kitty porn leaked. Okay. Jane says, usually I would go to R. Kelly's basketball gym and it would be like a weekend thing, Jane said, described how she and Kelly would coordinate X while she was still underage. She said her parents would sometimes take her to Kelly's home in Chicago as they thought it was her spending the weekend with her godfather house. Let me ask you guys before I move on to the next slide. Do you think her parents knew? And if you can, smash the like button. So let me just take a quick break and tell you why it's important to smash the like button. I'm going to bring my mic really close. So by smashing the like button, what you do is it boosts engagement on our video, and it's free of charge. It doesn't cost you 2 cents to smash the like button. But what it does is it helps boost our engagement, so that way we can maintain the show. Like literally, like this is how we pay for the show. This is how we pay for our station on Roku, and this is how we are able to build our audience simply by our already amazing nosy bystanders just smashing the like button. It's 282 you in the building. We should at least be able to get up to 250. And because you do that, we really appreciate it here. It's a free of charge to do. I won't even charge you to smash the like button. I appreciate you guys. And I really do. I really do appreciate you guys. I appreciate you for bringing us the stories, for staying in tune with me, for calling me constantly, and for smashing the like button, which actually is how our channel stays monetized, right? So by engaging in our videos, we can stay monetized and we can help deliver this tea for you. So we appreciate that. So thank you. But I do think the parents knew. I do. I absolutely 100% unequivocally believe that the parents knew. They knew for sure. Let me hear from you guys. Sharice Wharton says, yes, the parents knew. Yeah. Is it Kathlina says either they were, well, I'm not going to say stupid, but either they were dum-dums or evil. Two options that are bad. I agree. Jason Fish said, free R. Kelly. Jason, we're going to just go ahead and mute you here. You're more than welcome to stay and watch the chat, but you won't be able to comment. And so just stick around and watch, okay? This is from Super Cute Walker says, yes, they definitely knew, and so did Sparkle, aka Stephanie. Oh, Sparkle is Stephanie. Is she? I thought Sparkle was. Hold on, let me look it up. Hold on, look at that. Stephanie Edwards? Stephanie. Are you? Yeah, she knew! She knew the whole time. She knew the whole time. I thought when she said Stephanie, I thought she meant two people. She knew this whole time R. Kelly was touching on her niece and was literally serving her up like hot coffee, telling her to. Telling her. Child, I'm shocked. I'm shocked because now that I think, now we gotta. I'm sorry, y'all. I have to go back to some of these. I gotta go back to some of these really quickly because now they're starting to make sense. I'm sorry, y'all. We're gonna have to take a couple steps back, baby. We're going because I got to read them because in my head I'm thinking she's talking about another auntie named Steph. She's talking about her. Okay, let me go back to one of these graphics, you guys, because I want to reread this. Wow, I'm just like, I'm like, I gotta go back to this graphic. Is it this one? Okay, here we go. So it says Jane says her aunt pushed her to get closer to R. Kelly. She said I should ask him to be her godfather, that I should rub his head and ask him to take that role in my life. Jane says. Kelly chuckled and said yes. Her parents, she says, also approved. Jane said she was 13 years old when she asked R. Kelly to be her godfather. Following him becoming her godfather, she says her conversation with him became had changed. She knew. Sparkle knew. Sparkle knew. Sparkle knew. Sparkle knew. So you're telling me, as his girlfriend, who's probably at his house every day, that your niece was going to his godfather's house, but you weren't there? Listen, I'm not trying to sound, I hate to sound graphic. I do. And I don't mean to. I don't mean, very much trigger warning everywhere. I don't mean to sound graphic, but like, when a man is not into fully developed women, that. I've never met one, but in my mind, I think I have an inclination of what they might be like, but they're not into you. You could tell they're, you know what I mean? You could just tell. Like, Sparkle, she knew he was into little ones. And he probably coached her, coerced her, like, because if they catch me with it on my phone, if they, or not my phone, but if they catch me with it on my computer, I could go to jail. So, you should help me find someone. And there in lines her niece. You said Sparkle knew and told that's why she got blacklisted in the music world. Kira Mitchell said, because Stephanie be mad, aka Sparkle, because he chose her niece over her and the family became aware of the relationship. Yeah, I feel like she helped facilitate all of that. I feel like she helped facilitate all of that. I don't know. I feel like the auntie knew. But let's get to the next graphic because we're almost done reading this, and I don't want to keep this show too late for you guys. But, oh, child. Okay, hold on. Did we read this graphic? Yes, we did. So we last left off where she says that she and her parents would sometimes take her to Kelly's home in Chicago as they thought of it as her spending the weekend with her godfather's house. Here's the last graphic, and then he closed out the thread for the day because court is over. Our court reporter here, Dave Barnes says Jane says she had sex with R. Kelly an uncountable amount of times before she turned 18, though estimates it as hundreds. Continuing, Jane says R. Kelly started giving her alcohol when she was 14, and it helped me loosen up. It took me away from the moment, Jane tells the federal prosecutors. Jane also alleges R. Kelly encouraged her to bring her other teen female friends into the sexual relationship. Specifically, Jane's Jane says Kelly crushed on two other alleged victims in the case, Jane's friend Pinky and Brittany. Now, if you guys remember from the Surviving R. Kelly, Jane, our victim here, played summer camp. She was at a summer camp. It was like a Michael Jordan summer camp of some sort where they played basketball. And she had met her friends there. And her friends, the two of her friends, were also alleged victims. So I imagine that's Pinky and Brittany. So those might be the other two victims. Okay, those might be the other two victims. Oh, spam in the chat. Oh, I see them. Okay, I got them. Thank you very much. So Jane, our victim here, introduced R. Kelly to his other two victims, Pinky and Brittany. Jane says she was between 14 and 16 when she began to have the zigs. I can't say that, you guys. I have to like switch it up. With Pinky, R. Kelly together, like a smorgasbord. Okay. However, she says they stopped after Jane found out. However, she says they stopped after Jane found out R. Kelly was seeing Pinky outside of their mutual smorgasbord encounters. Jane says she broke Jane says she broke her friendship with Pinky over this. Hmm. I mean, the story, that's it. So this is how the thread ends. The thread does end here. There's actually one more. I'll read you. I didn't post it up here, but I'll read you the last thread he had posted. He stated, let me see if I can find it. He stated that Mrs. Jane, our victim, has testified this evening, and that she will and may come back tomorrow and for the rest of the week. So she will be testifying for the rest of this week and possibly next week. So that's how the court ended today. I'm going to check his page and see if we have any updates. Okay. Now there are a lot of, I will say this, I'm not going to post it, but there are a lot of R. Kelly sympathizers in Mr. Barnes' Twitter account. And he did post this. I'll show it to you. I'm not going to post it here, but I'm going to show it to you right now. So here's a tweet that he had just posted. And he says, whatever your feelings on R. Kelly or the case against him have to say, sorry, I can't read backwards, you guys, was really disturbed. He said he was really disturbed about how many people on my trial thread today were splitting hairs whether, I really cannot read backwards. Sorry. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Oh, thank God. Okay. So if I pull it up on my camera, I can read it forwards. Hold on. There we go. He said, why can't I see that? Okay. He said, whatever your feelings on R. Kelly or the case against him, I have to say I was really disturbed by how many people on the trial thread today were splitting hairs over whether his alleged victim lost her lady stuff to a man in his 30s at 14 or 15. That's a child either way. And he's right. I saw those comments. I'm not going to read them because they're disgusting and vile. And if you are sitting here trying to split hairs, whether somebody was 14 or 15 years old, and not the fact that a 30-year-old man at the time was taking advantage of a minor, then you have some serious mental health issues. You really honestly do. And you might yourself may have to have, some, you might have to talk to a therapist about why you think that's okay to say and or do. Like, why are you out here? Why is, no offense to anyone, sorry, I want to put this graphic up, no offense to anyone, but why are you out here defending R. Kelly? Like, is there something wrong in your head? Because I've been reading some of the comments. I'm not going to get to them from the people who are out here defending R. Kelly. I'm only going to read the comments of people who are rational and who have brains. But if you're sitting here on the internet defending R. Kelly in the proximity of a minor, you need therapy immediately. Immediately. Seriously. Like, you have a mental health disorder if you're splitting hairs about whether a 30-year-old man should and shouldn't be able to take the virginity of a 14-year-old or 15-year-old. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like we went through the entire Me Too movement and y'all just didn't learn nothing. And I'm not talking about the nosy bystanders. I'm talking about the ignorant people in the comment section saying free R. Kelly. And no, Steph, you're wrong. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is the reason why in the Black community and the BIPOC community, we still break bread with perverts in our family, with our pervert grandpas and pervert uncles, because of people like y'all in the comment section. And again, my nosy bystanders know we're not talking about us. We're talking about you individuals who showed up to this live video thinking you ate. You ain't eat. You the reason why we got to sit here and break bread with our pervert uncles and stuff, because y'all have this propensity to protect these type of people because you want to split hairs and call people fast instead of just using your brain and being like, are there degenerates out there who actually touch kids? Yeah, there are. Are there degenerates out there who serve kids to perverts? There are. They do all the time. You saw that with the Ghislaine Maxwell case, that she was serving them up hot and ready for Jeffrey Epstein and his friends. So you don't think that a Black woman could do it for R. Kelly? You don't think that Sparkle would do it for R. Kelly, allegedly? She would. She was a struggling actress at the time trying to salvage her own dumpster fire of a career. You don't think she'd serve up her own niece to a pervert? Like she didn't know he was a pervert? Come on, y'all. Be realistic. Stop. Y'all, there's something wrong with y'all. Y'all need therapy. You don't need to be in this live video. You need to be calling BetterHelp. That's what you need to be calling. You need to go pull out your insurance card, call your insurance company, and see which healthcare providers are in your area. That's what you need to be calling. I don't know how you ended up here. That's where you need to be. You need to be calling your insurance company to see if they can get you a clinical psychologist in your area, because I don't know how you showed up here thinking that was going to fly over here. You got the wrong live video. You got the wrong live video. I'm telling you right now, you got the wrong one. You've come to the wrong place if you thought that you were going to split hairs here, because I'm telling you right now, all the nosy bystanders, including myself, are highly educated and we analyze the shit out of everything. So if you thought you were coming over here to spill tea or eat like you thought you did, you're not going to do that here. We're going to read from the court reporter, from the victim themselves. We're not going to listen to a bunch of nameless, faceless people spamming our comment section, free R. Kelly. We're going to listen to the court reporter who's transcribing the account from a victim. That's what we're going to listen to, because when the Me Too movement did come out, we took heed. We listened. We opened our ears and we said, okay, let's believe the victims. Then we're going to investigate. That's what we're going to do. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. But y'all need to call y'all insurance companies, try to find a clinical psychologist near you and go to therapy, because you've come to the wrong place to think that you were about to cuss anybody out in the comment section about you defending a pervert. It's 2022. Do you hear yourself? Yes, we will shame you over here. Heavy on the shaming over here. We will shame you. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? Take a moment and pause and listen to yourself before you hit send on that comment. Listen to yourself. I am defending a pervert. Before you hit send, say that out loud and then hit send and ask yourself, am I proud? Am I proud to be an adult in America on the internet defending pedophiles? Listen to yourself before you hit send. Listen to yourself. Say it out loud. I defend perverts on the internet and I'm proud. And if you are, then hit send and say free R. Kelly. But if you can't say that out loud, then you really need to take assessment of your life. What are you doing with your fucking life? What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? Defending perverts on the internet. You sound sick. You sound as sick as R. Kelly. You sound as sick as Sparkle. That's how you sound. You sound sick defending perverts on the internet. Yeah, scratch that. Some of y'all might just be perverts. Straight up and down. Some of y'all just might be literal perverts. And y'all might have this like brigade where y'all just defend each other across the internet. I don't know what it is. All I know is that none of that's going to work over here. You've come to the wrong place if you think you're going to defend that degeneracy on this side of the Mississippi. Okay. So tomorrow, we're going to actually stay on this case. Now, tomorrow, we're supposed to be talking about the wealthy college kid, but this is breaking news. So tomorrow, you guys, we're actually going to be in day 5 of the R. Kelly trial. And excuse me, I really want to hear from Jane. Jane is the victim who is in one of the 1998 alleged sex tapes from R. Kelly. And she is the first time she's ever testified in trial. So I want to hear from her. So tomorrow we will push back the wealthy college kid story to Saturday because there's obviously no trial Saturday. So we're going to push the wealthy college kid story back to Saturday. We're going to focus on R. Kelly day 5 of his trial tomorrow, and we're going to see what Jane has to say about the degenerate. And for you degenerates, if you survived the rest of this live video after I read you for filth, if you would like to come back tomorrow and defend your pervert friend some more, come join us. That's all I have for the Nosy Bystander. I'm Stephanie, your chief Nosy Bystander. I will see you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, okay, like we do every day. And we'll be back for day 5 of the R. Kelly trial. So I will see you guys later. And we'll see you guys later on the after show on TikTok here at Chief Nosy Bystander. So I'll see you guys in a couple hours. I'm going to get some lunch, dinner over there. Okay, bye-bye.